So he's impatient. This poem kind of tells us about his feelings. Does this poem mention anything about any mistakes he's made?
Not this one really.
No mistakes. So that's definitely a difference.
Scared me someone pick my desk up.
No mistakes mentioned. Okay. I'm gonna let you get that written, and then we'll talk about the third informational text.
There's a lot more on that.
Yeah.
It has the name of the boat.
For this second one,
For the poem. No mistakes.
for the poem, yeah,
Can I taste some?
yeah, it mentions the name of the boat, but also it mentions the name of the boat in this one too. If you remember that, so this one does not mention no boat names. Is where I would put that. Now, one if by land, two if by sea, our third one that we read in the Liberty book. Remember, bless you. Let me put it under the screen so y'all can see. One if by land, two if by sea. Okay, that one says we have this information that we picked up. It has information about the British spies. It tells us Paul Revere waited for his signal. A lot of familiar information. What I think we need to notice in this one. Do I know any of Paul's feelings in this? No. Do I know anything about his family in this one, like I did in the other stories? Do I know anything about like the help that he received in these stories? No. So I think what we need to point out about this one,
Nothing in common.
it's just it doesn't really give me many details about Paul Revere's thoughts and feelings as the other ones do. I don't really know much about his life from this story. It's just a brief description of what happened. It's just a brief, the events of the night. It's just a brief description. So if I'm you, that's kind of what I'm thinking that we should pick up. It doesn't really tell. It doesn't really tell just about the ride either. It kind of tells about the things that happened before. If you notice, it says they noticed the British spies. It tells us General Gage had the spies sent out. It tells us what the spies are looking for. It tells you about the British's plan that they're trying to capture John Hancock and Samuel Adams. And so it tells us more than just his ride and what he does on his ride and preparing for his ride. Okay, so that's kind of what I think. That's what I think we need to note is that it mentions details or facts about the whole night, but not really much about Paul Revere's life.
Mentions.
What up, Adeline?
I think I have a hint on his personality though.
Okay, what?
Adventurous, like he whenever he went to warn the people, they ain't really like adventuring. It's just like he's not scared.
Yeah.
And like it seems like he wants to have an adventure. Like,
Okay, yeah. It definitely takes kind of an adventurous person to be willing to do this because remember we looked at his map and he went, he helped a lot of people. Yeah, he went.
Yeah, it looks like
Sounds
he
like
wanted
he's done
to
it
do
before because he knew what to do.
Yeah, maybe so. Maybe
He's
he
probably
has done it
been
before.
teaching himself, so in case he's been waiting for this day.
Perhaps.
Because they knew this day would come.
Yes, that's definitely what I would do if I were in his situation. I haven't read any evidence that he has, but maybe he did. Look at the song. This is gonna be the last version that we have to kind of look at. Okay, what did we pick out from the song that we didn't pick out anywhere else, or that we didn't know anywhere else? I see the connections being made. Macy, what did we say? Do what? Yeah, so we learned about the British spies. It didn't really mention, it said that there were spies, but it didn't mention what they were doing. Okay, so I agree. Spies wanted ammo.
I put British wanted to steal ammo and supplies, so do we have to put
That's
spies
fine.
on him, right?
Same thing. That's fine, that's fine. What?
He rode with dogs.
So, right, so he had a
Yeah, I had that
friend
one.
actually riding with him on the ride.
Said that in the other one too, right there.
I put friends.
Where?
Right there where it said rode with dogs.
Oh yeah. So honestly, these things we've already kind of picked out for this story, but that's okay. And then it tells us a little bit about his feelings. I'm gonna let everybody get this written, and then we're gonna talk about his feelings about this event.
I'm surprised our friend actually went.
Well, he just met the friend.
It must be probably another patriot too. I don't think it's just somebody who just happens to be his friend. It's got to be somebody who sees how important this is to the United States of America at that point. At that point, just the original 13.
Learned about so much about the Patriots and Loyalists.
Yeah.
I was on the Loyalist side
Oh, really?
because I
Oh.
thought they were the ones who hated taxes.
Oh, yeah. But now that you're kind of getting to the bottom of it.
Yeah.
All right, Noah, you want to tell us the last thing that we're learning?
No, but I have
Okay.
to tell you.
Tell me what.
Isn't it? I think this is kind of connected to the medieval times because it's King George.
Yeah. Well, it's definitely right after. What, baby?
I have.
Yeah, tell me what you got.
It's a little more specific.
Okay, what?
Like the song does it explains his feelings, and what the British wanted to do, and it also it's just more specific.
Okay, yeah, so it is specific. It tells us about his feelings. It tells us about, like, what the British are trying to get done. What?
What's after writing?
With him.
Miss Xavier, I can't write anymore.
We'll go up the side, Emily, because you need this information. So specific tells about his feelings, and what are his feelings on this night?
Scared.
He's scared and nervous. It says he is antsy. It says his teeth are chattering and his hands are sweating.
I'm surprised he agreed to it.
Right.
And probably sad because in case you don't make it in time.
Right.
Well, I'm just gonna write it right here.
It'd be sad if he didn't get to tell everybody, but he had like a few more people and then just died.
Okay, that's too harsh.
This war was harsh, to be honest with you. So thumbs up when you have your things picked out. There you go. You're welcome.
Oh, my blood broke.
Mine broke. I had to fix
Poe and Tyler, Ethan. You're not focused on what's important right now. What is it, baby? Antsy is what it said in the. It specifically said antsy in the song.
Doesn't it mean like nervous?
I mean, kind of like nervous, excited,
I've never heard that before.
great, ready
I hear it
to
all the
roll.
time. My mom calls me antsy whenever I'm going to ride because I get nervous that I won't do good.
It's like when you go up on stage. You're
Yeah.
like excited, but you're like,
Like
Yeah,
the
kind of like
Christmas
stage
program.
fright. I bet so.
you know, say you're going to
That's a
bed,
great
you're going
connection.
to up.
All right, all
Yeah.
set? You bet. Thank you so much for not continuing your conversation after I said all set. All right, let's discuss next steps with this. Okay? I told you guys before lunch that I told you yesterday we are going to compare and contrast. Today I told you only have to pick two. So if I'm comparing something, I'm telling how they are what? Alike. If I'm contrasting something, I'm telling how they are
Different.
different.
Oh, I thought it was the other way.
Well, that's okay. Now you know. So what I'm going to do, or what I would do if this were me writing this. Now, when I say essay, I don't necessarily mean essay. But what I'm thinking is, it can't just be done in one paragraph.
2 paragraphs.
I would think if I were writing this, I would say, well, I'll write one paragraph comparing
That's what I
and
would
one
say.
paragraph contrasting. Okay? So when I say essay, I do not mean you're going to write the longest essay ever, but you are going to compare and contrast. And in order to do that thoroughly, it probably is going to end up being 2 paragraphs. Some people in Miss Johnson's class pushed it to 3 paragraphs. So let me tell you some ways that you could set this up, and then I'm going to let you get started. This is your essay, so let me tell you whatever makes sense to you, okay? Maybe you're going to do, like we said, 1 paragraph about comparing, 1 paragraph about contrasting, okay? Maybe you're going to do a paragraph, bless you, about one story, and then you're going to do a paragraph about the other story and how it's different from the first. Maybe you're going to list some facts, and you're going to say, it was like this in this story, it was different in this story because of this. The way you set it up, hold on, Briley, the way you set it up is totally up to you. But you do have to know, it probably is not going to be a trees paragraph because of the fact that you're comparing and contrasting.
So it doesn't have to be a trees paragraph?
No, but what do you are going to have text evidence for both of them.
Explain and sum it up.
I want you to have at least 2 similarities and at least 2 differences.
Do you have to have reason?
That is going to be your reason. So it would be like one reason these are similar is
Oh.
I would like you to try to.
Yeah, evidence and
Now listen, I'm not going to be grading like the trees paragraphs like I do, like, because it's not going to be set up in that structure. So I'm not going to be looking for TREES. It might be topic, reason, 2 pieces of evidence for that, another reason, 2 pieces of evidence for that. Then you're going to explain and sum it up. Yeah. So it's going to be like it's going to be set up a little differently than normal, but it's your paragraph. So maybe you don't set it up like a trees paragraph. Maybe you do one about one story, one about the other story. But as I'm looking at this list and I'm trying to figure out, okay, which 2 am I going to talk about? It would make sense to pick the ones that have the most evidence.
which is the
And the
song?
most, this is your decision now. Which one of these have the most evidence and which one of these have like the biggest differences to me? Because to be honest with you, the similarities are super easy to pick out. All of these stories are about the same event. So a lot of the details in these stories, well, the song and poem too. So when I say stories, I mean all of these. The details are going to be super easy to pick out the similarities because they're all about the same night in history. The differences, though, that's where you might have to look a little deeper. But we just picked them out together. So step 1, before you start writing, what I would do is like maybe flip my page over and I would pick my 2 stories and then I would like label same, different.
Oh, this.
And I would just like list them. So let's say I want to talk about the first 2. Well, they both talk about the ride, don't they? Okay, but one says he's alone, and the other says he's with friends.
Also in the song.
So what's up with that? I don't know. So those,
I like this.
that's kind of how. No, I don't. I just want to show you my thought process. Before I start writing my essay, that is. So before I start writing my essay, I would do something like this. You've got to do some sort of plan. I do not want you to just dive in and start writing until you think through what you're going to write. Once you have, like, okay, here are the things I'm going to talk about. On your Google Classroom, I have put where is my Google Classroom? There it is. I have put, let me get onto our homeroom. I've put a Word document, or not a Word document, a Google document that says Paul Revere's Ride Essay. I have just told you it does not have to be an entire 3-paragraph essay, so you already know that. But you're going to click on it, and this is going to be where you're going to type it.
So we do that after we write it?
Can I talk? Okay. I'm not making you write the entire thing on loose leaf paper. You have that loose leaf paper in case you need to plan on loose leaf paper. This is where I want you to write it, and the reason I want you to do it on here is so that I can watch you and give you comments as you're typing, like I have done in the past, okay? So I'm not worried about you writing the entire essay on loose leaf paper. Isaiah, you're not on task with me. Water bottles are not on task. So you don't have to write this entire essay on loose leaf paper and then type it in. I want you to do it on this document. And it says, compare two versions of Paul Revere's Ride that we have read. Write 2 paragraphs comparing and contrasting the versions of the event. Be sure to include the titles of the story as well as the evidence to support your thinking. So y'all, let me show you. Some people in other classes were starting to write right here. Okay, if you start typing right there, it's going to look like my directions are part of your essay, isn't it? So I don't want you to do that.
Give me a space.
I just want you to skip it a line a little bit.
Click in
Maybe
there.
2, maybe 3. And you have to start with a topic sentence. Mistakes I have noticed that have been made are story 1 and story 2. Well, I don't know what stories you're talking about because we just read 4 of them. So you need to put like the title and another title.
How do you do it?
I'm just doing a blank so that you can see what I'm doing, and then I'm going to let you hit the road. Are both, or you could say, both tell the same story of Paul Revere's Ride,
And it'll offer you the word.
but in different ways. So look, I have a topic sentence right here that tells you, okay, I'm about to tell you about some similarities, then I'm about to tell you about some differences. And then you're going to go for it. Okay? So I don't want you to keep saying story 1, story 2, story 1, story 2, because I don't know what those 2 stories are. You've got to put the titles. Okay? Right, because like there's 4 of them, so I'm not going to know what your story 1 is or your story 2 is. You've got to put the titles. So a topic sentence like this is going to really help you. Do you have any questions about what you're supposed to do with this?
Not yet.
What is it, Colton?
So, about the stories,
Uh-huh.
like, I don't understand, like, what books, like, of the 4 stories, like, American Revolution and them? Liberty?
These 4 different versions of Paul Revere's Ride. And then what happened, Paul Revere, the poem, the 1 if I land, 2 if I see that I read to you yesterday, and then the song. Those are your 4 versions. You don't tell me about all of them. Pick your 2 favorites and then get after it.
Got it.
Comparing tells how things are. Hello? Comparing tells how things are.
Different in the
Alike.
same.
Contrasting tells how they are.
Different.
If you need me, I'm going to be watching you as you type. So just let me know. Okay? Hit it.
Wow.